What is going on, guys? Welcome back to a new... You hear them geese? God damn! They're over here playing in the pond. Anyways, sorry about my ADD. Welcome back to a new video here on the channel. We are gonna jump straight into trying to get the Airdog 165 lift pump installed on the 6.7 truck today. So yesterday, we got the pump all put together with the fittings, got it all mounted on the mounting bracket, got the bracket mounted to the one side of the sandwich plate that will pin it to the frame rail of your truck so that you can mount it underneath. And I also began to get the tank straps loosened up so we could drop the fuel tank down from out of the truck. I was going to try and get it all done yesterday. However, I ran into a few different things and just time was not on my side, to say the least. Let me get the Airdog out of the garage and show you that all assembled and go over a couple of things with that, and then I'll show you what we're working with the truck as far as what I already have disassembled. I do still need to separate the filler neck from the top of the tank so that I have enough leeway to drop that tank down a little bit and reach the electrical connections and whatever else on top of the tank that needs to be disconnected so that I can snake that out from underneath the truck. But let me get the pump, we'll go over that for a second, and then we'll show you what we got on the truck, and then just jump right into it to see if we can't get this done in somewhat of a timely fashion. You guys know that old saying, don't be a fool, give your diesel truck fuel. So here is the Airdog 2 4G 165 lift pump all installed onto its mounting bracket and then onto the one side of the sandwich plate. You can see that they have a little spacer block right here to help push the pump out away from the frame rail a little bit. And you got to put that in between the sandwich plate and the actual mounting bracket here for the pump. The main thing I want to show you on the back of this mount, you can see all these holes that are drilled into it. And that is so that you are able to adjust the height of the Airdog when it's mounted on the truck. Now, obviously, you're going to have to figure out the height of where you want it mounted before you get the sandwich plates all bolted up to your frame and pinch this thing onto your frame to mount it for good. But right now I have it mounted in the lowest position possible because of how the setup of my truck is underneath. But you can adjust this thing up and down depending on how low you want it to hang, or if you want to tuck it up in there a little bit higher so that it's not hanging down low and it's got a more discreet look and it can be protected from debris flying up off the road or rocks getting kicked up from your tires and stuff. When you put these fittings in your pump, make sure that you are not over torquing them. These will snap right off in the pump and you will be absolutely screwed. These bigger half-inch ones get torqued to 120 inch-pounds, and then the little 3/8 fitting here gets torqued to 60 inch-pounds. So the only spot I really have to put this is right in this area here. That's the only good flat spot that I can get it to where it'll sit level and hopefully be protected. But I have it in its lowest mounting position because our parking brake cable comes right down through there, and I don't want it to be getting caught or snagged or be interfering with the parking brake cable if I need to use the parking brake on the truck. But we're gonna work on getting the fuel tank dropped down out of here first, and then I'm gonna hold the Airdog pump back up in there, kind of check it against the parking brake cable to see if I can move it up a little bit and get some more clearance. And then we're gonna go ahead and bolt it to the frame with the tank out of the truck, just so it'll be a little bit easier to do. And then we'll make our modifications and do everything we need to do with the tank. We'll get the Beans diesel sump all installed on the tank, and then start to get our fuel lines measured, cut, and start to run all that stuff. Put the tank back up in there, and then run everything up to the engine bay with the wiring harness so that we can get it all hooked up and wrap this job up. So another thing that I had to do was go and get these straight through sockets and ratchets so that I could get onto the bolts, or the nuts rather, that hold the tank straps up in place, because the bolts were too long for a deep well socket. So this is a 5/8 straight through socket and ratchet set, and I was able to slide this up over those long ass bolts and then start to get those nuts off from the tank straps so that I could drop the tank. Once I got those nuts down far enough that hold the straps up in place, then I was able to put a regular 5/8 deep well socket on with the Milwaukee stubby impact, and then finish taking them out that way. So I am currently taking out the water separator filter right here so that I can buy myself a little bit more space. If I didn't have all these torpedoes down underneath the truck here, I would have so much more room for activities to get up in here and get to the stuff that I need to disconnect. I'd be able to sit my ass right up in here between the frame and the drive shaft and just get to everything, but that's not the case. All right, so we got some more space with that water separator out of the way. So now I can see a little bit better and hopefully be able to reach things that I need to reach. What the hell? Anybody need any walnuts? We got 2 nuts. 2 nuts. After a long fucking battle, we got this fuel tank out of the truck finally. We are going to clean the shit out of this so that we can dismember it and take it apart so we can do what we need to do and get this thing put back in. But this was quite the chore to get this dropped down out of the truck. Having to contend with the drive shaft, the DPF filter all right there. It was not fun, to say the least. Getting to the connections and all the hoses. Hopefully putting it back in there won't be as bad now that I kind of know how it comes down out of there and have figured out some of the easier spots to get up in there to get to things. So hopefully we'll be able to connect things back up fairly easily, and having the bean machine sump installed on the bottom of it will also help as far as connecting it to the Airdog and whatnot. So I really only need to be able to get the wiring harness connected up here, and that should be it. I just have to plug back the return line from the engine here, but otherwise we'll be in good shape. All right, when you're taking out your OEM sending unit, you need to be very careful because of the float inside of here so that you don't bend that. Otherwise, your fuel gauge is not going to be working properly. Just like that. And this is what you do not want to bend, because this is what's going to give you your fuel reading on your gauge. But this is the OEM sending unit. Now, if you're going to install the upgraded fuel module, you'd be cutting out this factory pump right here, modifying the basket a little bit. You'd be clipping this yellow and black line. You don't want to clip the blue lines because that is the power to your fuel gauge right here on this float. So you don't want to do that. And you'd also have to cut out some of this honeycomb webbing up here on the top so that you could mount the attachment for the upgraded fuel module. We aren't going to be using that because we have the Beans Diesel sump that is going in the tank, but I still wanted to pull this out so that I could clip these wires, pull this factory pump out. Yo, birds, I'm making a video. Get out of here. But what I was saying was I wanted to pull out the factory sending unit here so that I could pull out this pump, get rid of that, punch some holes around the sides of the basket here, and then cut out the bottom of it so that the fuel can rush into the basket and have no obstruction getting to the sump, and the Airdog can just pull it effortlessly through the bean sump into the Airdog and send it up to the injection pump. So we're gonna get to modifying. So what I'm doing is just unplugging the yellow and black wire from the OEM pump that's down here in this basket, and then I'm going to just coil them up like this and then zip tie them together so that they're up out of the way. Be careful removing this because my blue wires for my float are fed right through these hoses here, so we need to fish those down out of here very carefully. All right, we got those out of the way. That's better. And this, my friends, is why we do lift pumps on our trucks. Look at that puny little pump right there. And I don't know if the camera will pick up all that contamination on that screen, but yikes, that thing is dirty. Granted, I did just make a little bit of a mess when I cut those tabs, but I didn't make that much of a mess. There is some nasty stuff stuck all over this little guy. Before we punch our hole for the sump, we're gonna go ahead and cut this bottom of the basket right out of here. And what I'm gonna do for that is use this little Dremel rotary tool, same thing I used to cut the little tabs that hold the pump in there. If you are a one-man show like I am and you don't have anybody to give you a hand, you got to do this job, drop your tank, all that fun stuff that I just went through to do the Airdog install, then do yourself the favor, go to Harbor Freight, get yourself this cheap little 450-pound transmission scissor jack, and use that to put the fuel tank back up into place. It will hold it, support it, and let you wrestle with the straps so that you can get them bolted down and secured. But that thing literally helped in so many different ways. I would not be able to hold that tank while wrestling with the straps and trying to start the nuts on the bolts to get them all tightened back down, and even taking it out. It just was a lifesaver to have that pressed up against the bottom of the tank so it didn't drop down on me. Just really helped out. So do yourself the favor, go pick this thing up. But folks, we've got the tank back in. I've got everything all connected and hooked up. I just need to hook up the filler neck, the two tubes here, the vent and the actual tube for the filler neck for when the fuel goes into the tank. But we got our Airdog all plugged into the top. We have our return from the engine plugged back into the top of the OEM sending unit up there, and that's it. The two nuts are on for the straps and it's all strapped up in. I just need to tighten them down the rest of the way, and then comes the fun part of starting to measure out the lengths of our fuel line so that we can connect the bean sump right here to the Airdog pump right there. So we're gonna have a couple of lines that are relatively short, just have to go from here to here, and then the rest of it will run along the frame line with the rest of our wiring harness that you see coiled up on the ground right there. We'll poke it up into the engine bay, get it hooked up to the batteries, injection pump, and hopefully dump some fuel in this thing and get our first start. All right, guys, I am taking a page out of my man Turbo Tom's book, because these things, I don't know if you've ever pushed fuel line onto these barbed fittings before, but let me tell you, it ain't fun. And they do make tools for like doing the AN fittings and everything and pushing the hose onto it, where you can put the AN into it and it'll just walk the hose on. But you got to get some lube on these barbs, oil them up a little bit. However, I'm going to take a page out of Turbo Tom's book, just like I said, and we're going to heat these mother truckers up a little bit to soften this rubber, and then these should push right in nice and easy. So what I'm doing is I'm just holding the hose, the fuel line up to where it needs to be, measuring out a length, cutting it to length, and then we're gonna oil these up, heat them up, push the fittings in, and then go clip them into place. All we gotta do is get this one hooked up to the return, then I gotta run the feed line from the sump to the Airdog, and then we just gotta measure out our line from the Airdog up into the engine bay, and we'll be good to go. All right, guys, so here is the update right now. Sorry, I've been just focused on trying to get things put back together. Got the fender wheel liner back in, got all that stuff buttoned back up. Just got to put the wheel on, then set her back down on the ground. Wanted to leave it up in the air for right now because we're gonna start to bleed the system. I have the fitting up at the injection pump cracked right now, and got the water separator filled with fuel. So when you first install your Airdog, make sure you fill the water separator up with fuel and prime it just like an oil filter. You can do both of them, even though it's a self-priming system. You could fill them both just to be on the safe side. We've got all of our fuel lines all routed. The wiring harness is all routed. Everything's zipped up and tucked out of the way. And if we come up here underneath the hood, for now, I just went to the battery. So I've got it hooked up here at the battery. I've got the relay zip screwed in right here, and the excess stuff is kind of just coiled up in the corner. We're gonna revisit and we're gonna reroute the power leads and actually hook it up to the alternator so that we can get a corrosion-free connection. So I am gonna come back when I have more time. I'm unfortunately running out of time for today. But we will hook it up to the alternator, and I will show you guys that in a separate video and do all that and go over it then. We also have our leads for a low pressure light sitting up here in the corner. I'm probably gonna pick one of those up from Airdog just so I can mount it with my fuel pressure gauge inside the cab. But otherwise, everything is kind of just tucked right there for right now. So when we reroute these wires to the alternator, we just gotta kind of clean all that stuff up a little bit and get it looking good. I just left it like that for now because, like I said, we are gonna come back and revisit this and run these power leads to a different location. But for now, we got Allie in the driver's seat. She's gonna turn the key to the run position, and we are going to check this fitting right down here on the injection pump where the feed line comes in. I've got this one correct. So we're gonna check that and bleed the system. Once we have a pure flow of diesel coming out of there, I'll tighten that up. We should be good to fire it up for the first time. Moment of truth. This damn screen right here. I need to put some new 3M tape on that. And I need to, it's gonna be a video coming soon. I need to fix the damn backup camera because whoever installed it is an idiot and has it pointing straight down to the ground. Yeah, that really helps in backing up. Moment of truth. Is she gonna start up? Active airbox service required. See dealer. She's running. She's running a little goofy right now, and I think that that's just because we need to get the fuel circulating back through her, so she should balance off here and balance out a little bit, but she's up and running. I don't see any leaks. I think we are in good shape, guys. And yep, she's already settled down and sounding perfect. Sounds healthy, sounds good. We just needed to get that steady fuel flow back up here to the injectors and the engine and all that because we had some stuff disconnected or whatever. So it just took a second to get back to normal, but everything is good. She sounds freaking awesome. She actually, not gonna lie, sounds a little bit better than it did before, now that we have good fuel pressure from the Airdog lift pump. So I'm honestly wondering if the factory sending unit that we pulled out of the tank and we cut it out of the basket, I'm wondering if that was starting to shit the bed, because I have heard stories of guys who say that theirs were starting to go around 60 to 70,000 miles, and we're at 67,000, almost 68,000 miles on this truck. And I'm telling you, the truck sounds better with the Airdog running right now. But either way, whether this thing was starting to go bad or not, look at the size of this compared to the Airdog 165 gallons per hour pump that we just put on. Obviously, this isn't going to keep up and feed the needs of that big engine underneath the hood. We did this truck a big favor, and myself a big favor, by putting the Airdog lift pump on. We know things will be good from here on out. See ya. As you can tell, I'm a complete wreck, filthy head to toe, looking like I just crawled out from under a bridge. So I need to go in, take a shower, and get the rest of my mess cleaned up here. This is where we're gonna cut it off, guys. Make sure you are subbed with those notifications on, because we got some real big things coming for the truck. Like next week, actually, one of the big things is coming, so you're not gonna wanna miss out on that. I'm telling you, it's huge. It's something you guys are gonna thoroughly enjoy. So subscribe with those notifications, hit that like button on your way out. Check out all the links down below in the video description for everyone on board with the channel helping us out with the 6.7 build. Hit that Airdog link and pick up a lift pump for your truck. It's tax season, guys. I know you got money burning a hole in your pocket, so treat yourself and treat your truck. I'll see you guys soon in the next video. Peace.